In Chapter 2, I will discuss with Cédric Baron of Generali Investments the cyclical nature of the investment world. Cédric, according to your thinking, how do the global and regional economic cycles affect the performance of the multi-asset class portfolios?
Actually, each stage of the economic cycle is characterized by different growth and inflation regime, to which central banks respond with stimulus or tightening depending on their assessment of the economic cycle. As equity are valued based on expected growth and equity risk premium, the growth level is key to determine what is the value of the equity asset class and what could be its value in the future. For the bond market, as you know, the bond market is valued based on interest rate, inflation, credit risk, and credit. For the same reasons, the cycle will determine what is the level of interest rates. The central bank will determine where they want to put interest rates. So that will affect the bond market, the bond valuation. So clearly the cycle will determine the price of the asset class because it will impact the economic variable and the investor expectation of this economic variable. So it will affect the valuation of each asset class and each asset.
So are we talking about a constant dynamism here, that there's always a different asset class that is outperforming according to which part of the cycle we're in?
In each stage of the economic cycle, one asset class will outperform the others. In a recession, for instance, interest rates are lower, inflation is lower, the central banks are more accommodative, the growth is lower, so clearly it is a favorable environment for the bonds. During expansion, clearly the growth is higher, the inflation is higher, the interest rates are also higher, and the central banks are most of the time more hawkish. So it is clearly positive for the equities, while less detrimental for the bonds. So yes, the cycle, each stage of the economic cycle could be interesting for one asset class or another. But I think we have to distinguish two types of mechanism. I mean, the short-term one and the long-term one. So it can tell you that, for instance, right now, maybe the bonds will underperform the equities. Nonetheless, it won't affect the fact that we are in a long-term declining environment for interest rates, and that the bonds could perform well, but probably less than the equity markets.
But we are living through very unpredictable political times at the moment. We've got a US president who nobody knows what he's going to do from day to day. We've got the ramifications of Brexit, which are still to be worked through in the UK. Do you feel that the markets will operate independently of these political changes, or do you feel that are you painting scenarios for the politics to directly influence these cycles which you refer to?
Clearly, any hit to the growth will be negative and will impact the cycle. That's for sure. So, for the moment, we don't know much about what Donald Trump is going to do. Clearly, if he delivers a fiscal boost, it will be positive for the economy. That's for sure. But if he fails to deliver, or if he starts a kind of trade war with China, for instance, or with Russia, or whatever, clearly that will, and if he settles some protectionist policies, clearly that will be detrimental for the global growth, that's for sure. And if he also settles some higher taxes on borders for import goods, clearly that will import some inflation in the economy with lower growth, and clearly the recession could come much earlier than it is expected in the US. I think it's the same for Europe. Due to all the political issues, all the political questions we can raise currently with the Brexit, with the election in France, in Germany. I mean, if there is a kind of a breakup in Europe, that's for sure that will push the Union in push back in recession shortly. That's for sure.